good evening, and welcome to Witness to History. Today is Sunday, October 16th, 2022. My name is John Dutton, and I'm a Moreland resident. Hold on, something's not right here. Give me 1 second. Gotta figure this out here. Here we go. I think this is it. Yeah.
Before I get started with our esteemed guest, I am Donna Whyte, and I'm a Moreland resident. Welcome, spring is right around the corner. Good evening, and welcome again to Witness to History. And again, happy Valentine's Day to everybody. Good evening, and welcome to Witness to History. I'm Donna Whyte, and I live on Shelton Road in Shaker Heights. I'm Donna Whyte, and I am your host for Witness to History. We are here for Witness to History. Today's Sunday, April 11th, 2021. Welcome to Witness to History. Here we are on Sunday, January 9th, 2022. And I welcome you to the beginning of what promises to be our best year ever, right? Okay,
All right.
Okay, Happy New Year. Happy New
Year.
Good evening, everybody, Moreland friends and neighbors. How's everybody doing this evening? The first day of daylight savings time. This is Palm Sunday, as we know also as Passion Sunday, here April 10th, 2022. Good Sunday evening, everyone. I'm Donna Whyte, and I live on Shelton Road in Moreland in the Shaker Heights community. As most of us in the Moreland community of Shaker Heights know, Kevin and Lee Kay, Colin Compton, Kamala Lewis, Theo Darden IV, John Dutton, and Megan Hayes. And I want to thank all of you for being here this afternoon. As we continue to find ways to remain safe and healthy during COVID-19, Witness to History is a virtual presentation that we know you will enjoy. Witness to History is an opportunity the second Sunday of each month at 6 o'clock for us to learn more about our Moreland and more broadly defined Shaker residents who are involved in the Moreland Network. This is one of our many ways in the Moreland neighborhood of Shaker Heights to offer an opportunity for us to know each other a little bit better. I always say that everybody has a story. And what better way to spend an evening than to learn the life story of one of our neighbors? I just like to say, everyone's life story is worth telling. But here we are now for another fun and exciting opportunity to get to know one of our neighbors better. And Witness to History is a way for us just to get to know our neighbors a little bit better in the Moreland community. For any of you who are new as our audience and our guests this evening, welcome to you. Even when we think we know our neighbors, their life stories enrich and inspire us in ways we never expected.
It's been over 2 years since Donna embarked on this journey, and tonight is her night to tell her story on her birthday. We have a very special evening planned. There will be 3 interviewers tonight who have all had a pivotal role in Donna's journey. As always, feel free to put questions in the chat, and as your MC tonight, I will make sure to respond to your question. Before we get started, I just wanted to say a couple words and take a moment to ask for your prayers and warm embrace of our longtime neighbor and guest to Witness to History, Joanne Jemison, who is currently ill, and it means so much to the community. She means so much to the community, and we just ask for your prayers and thoughts. So first of all, I wanted to now hand it over to our first interviewer, Iris Anderson.
Hello, everyone. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay.
Hi, Iris.
Hi, how's everybody doing? Great.
good to see all of you. I am proud and pleased to state that Donna Whyte and I have been friends since school days, and I'm not going to say how far back, long time. And I guess I'm first because I want to ask Donna a question. Why did you move to Shaker?
You're the reason I moved to Shaker. In a nutshell. You saw the picture there of Iris and her beautiful daughters, Candace and Kelly. And in 1981, I moved back to Cleveland, came back to Cleveland, and then, of course, had my children, Miata and Mariama, with me. And one of the things I hadn't thought about was coming home meant I was going to see people I knew when I grew up. And I went to Heinen's, of course, because that's where my mother always shopped. And lo and behold, there was Iris. There was Iris with her youngest daughter, Candace, who I found we hadn't seen each other since high school. I'll give it away. We went to elementary school together, elementary, junior, and senior high school together.
Yeah.
And so when I saw Iris and I said, where in the world do you live? I was heading for Cleveland Heights. I'd been here for about a year. I had to put the kids in school. Iris had her daughter with her, and she said, Shaker's the closest I could find to, the experience we had as children in Cleveland, which was absolutely wonderful. No more questions asked. I said, okay. I looked in the newspaper and I ended up moving around the corner from Iris, over on Sudbury, folks. Moved on to Sudbury. So you are the reason that I came to Shaker.
Okay.
For sure.
That was a wonderful, wonderful experience. Where were you before you moved back here?
Well, after high school, I went to Ohio State. And so I had been away for 15 years, and came back to Cleveland actually for the brief stay that I had in California, in Southern California, came back home and came back home as a single mom and lived with our parents on 140th Street for a year. And then it was clear that it was time for me to plant some roots, put the children in school. Unfortunately, I didn't want them to necessarily have, too long experience in Cleveland. Here my girls are at about the age that they were when we moved to Moreland. And Miata was in 3rd grade and Mariama was in 2nd grade. And so I was offered the opportunity to send them to Moreland, which was right down the street, or to send them to Fernway. So I asked the question about the enrollment at the, different schools, and I decided on Moreland. But I had been in Cleveland for a year, but for most of the time that I was gone, I was in Columbus, going to school as well as living in Columbus for 7 years beyond school, and 2 years in Philadelphia, 2 years in Philly. So I had been away for 15 years and never thought I was going to come back home. But it was time for me to plant roots. Here I was.
Right. So what motivated you to get involved with the schools?
Well, once again, I had the children enrolled at Moreland Elementary, and many of you, of course, know that Moreland is the library now. And so we lived on Sudbury. The children could walk down the street to go to school. This is a 3rd grade picture of Miata. Miata is on the top stair, farthest to the right, next to her teacher. Yes, whose name was Pamela Anderson. And what happened was she had her in 3rd grade and 6th grade. She was a wonderful and amazing teacher. She was an amazing teacher. And so it just seemed like it worked out, just fine, and again, as I was just dropping the children off, or at some point, I saw once again a person that I knew as a child whose daughter was going to Moreland Elementary School, Lisa Farmer and Francine Miller Farmer. Some of you may know. Once again, Francine said to me, "You're the type of parents we need to come to the PTA meetings." I was like, "Oh, okay, Francine, okay." So I just started going to the PTA meetings. And so again, it was a wonderful way to get to know the principal better and other parents. other parents whose children were not necessarily in my children's classrooms. But I did the whole 9 yards from the time that Mariama was in second grade through sixth grade. And for a couple of years, I was the president, co-president. I sure was. I almost forgot.
There was some family history that also kind of predisposed you to be involved in education.
Yes.
You shared that with me. What was that?
Yes, yes, yes. Well, as a young person, our mother said many things to us that stayed with us. And one of the things that she said, one of the many things that she said, was that we were from a family of teachers. My mother was a teacher, her sister was a teacher, her mother, my grandmother, was also a teacher. And so I'm not really sure, Diane may have a better feel for this. I don't think she was necessarily saying that was the only option, but it was a good one. It was a good one. And so actually, as I, grew on to my, high school years and all, I really did believe that I was going to be a teacher. And my mother actually had 3 careers. Teaching was the last career that she had. She had been an accountant, she had been a social worker, and then she was a teacher. But we always grew up also knowing that our aunt, my mother's sister, was a teacher in Baltimore. So it really was always a very, highly regarded profession. And I just loved my teachers. I just, I can't think of a teacher that I ever had in school that I really did not like. Actually, in elementary school, I'll tell you this little story. I had a teacher named Mrs. Mann. She lived near Milverton on 140th Street. And one day I raised my hand and called her mom. I was like, oh my goodness. I was like, I hope nobody heard me. But that's how I felt about her. That's how I felt about her. She was just a wonderful teacher.
So now you hit the ground running. Once your children were enrolled in the school, you became very active. You had other involvements, weren't you? I think you shared with me you were involved with the Girl Scouts.
Yes, there was a Girl Scout troop at Moreland Elementary. My children were in Brownies and Girl Scouts there and met again a number of wonderful people in the Moreland community. Oh goodness, don't get me started in terms of calling people's names, but there were wonderful people, in the community who were involved with Girl Scouts. And it was another way for me to get to know other parents. Yes. And I can think of at least a camp or so that my children went to, in Girl Scouts. So that was nice for them. That was nice for them. It was wonderful. It was right here in the neighborhood. Right. It was just like just like you said.
Yes.
It was just like home. It was
right.
Just like home.
Yes. And I think one of the things that drew you was the fact that there was a neighborhood school.
Oh, yes. Oh my goodness.
There was a neighborhood school. The resources that were needed to raise a child holistically were right here. They were all here. And you just jumped right in and became a part of the whole process, which was wonderful.
Well, it wasn't hard. You were there. Actually, I told you the other day that I was trying to find a picture of Miata and Candace when evidently they had a sleepover. They looked like they had just gotten up. So that's how close they were, because, Shelton their playground was here. They were friends. They didn't even go to the same elementary, but they were friends. And so, and other people in the neighborhood, Camille, there were other people in the neighborhood who I knew because I grew up in Cleveland.
Right.
I always knew my children could walk around the corner from Sudbury to Shelton and they'd be in good hands.
That's right.
Absolutely.
It was great. So now you've moved from having children in the school system to you have a grandchild in the system.
Yes.
You had grandchildren in the system.
Yes.
And that's going to be a part of another story.
Yes, yes. Actually, my granddaughter subs. She subbed, Amira, sub.
And your daughter.
Oh yeah, and Miata is principal of the middle school. She's now a coach, instructional coach.
Yeah.
Mariama has subbed. We're real Shaker folks, very involved with the schools.
Yes, very
Oh,
much so. And,
absolutely.
I mean, it just makes it so easy to communicate and share information and help to promote, the positive aspects of life and education for young people.
Absolutely.
So you've done some other things as it relates to education in Shaker. What else have you done?
Well, I actually served on the school board. Um, and I'll tell you a little bit about how that came about. I'm not really sure, but but there were parent groups in Shaker, not necessarily just in Moreland, but I think it was called Concerned Parents. And I had heard of the organization. Actually, John Addison was very involved, and he was working at the high school at that point. And so there was a group of parents that came together because we were just concerned with some of the things that were happening at the high school, and we would meet at people's homes. And so I was part of the group that wanted to meet with the superintendent at one point, and I think I said something at a meeting, and somebody said it was Reverend Payton, actually, Reverend Payton. And I think he said, you should run for the school board. I was like, oh, well, I was just making a suggestion here. And at that particular time, there was the Citizens Committee, which is another, story. But I met before the Citizens Committee. I thought at that point, okay, I am prepared to run for the school board. I had to look at my life, what age the children were and all. And both of the girls were still in high school at that time. Miata and Mariama were at the high school. And I decided to run. And actually my running mate was Marty Kolb. We were on the board together. And so I was on the school board for one term. Actually, 1992 was the same year that I started my doctoral program. So I was on the board and going to school at the same time. And this plaque actually is on the back of the chair. I couldn't find the promotional piece, the campaign piece, but every board member who's leaving the board is offered this gift. And it's a captain's chair. It's beautiful. It's absolutely beautiful. And so this plaque is on the back of the chair, and the other, embossed image is on the front of the chair. And one of the things that I thought after I had been on the school board was that I, particularly when I was in my doctoral program, I said I would really love to serve on the library board. And so the school board term was 4 years, and it was an elected position. And so the library term, Carmela knows this, is 7 years. It's 7 years, and it's an appointment. So you have to apply for the library board, and it was just an absolutely wonderful experience. I like being engaged, being involved, sharing what I know, and hoping to help others in the Shaker community.
Right, right. Well, that's wonderful, wonderful.
Yeah.
So I'm happy we had an opportunity to share that aspect of your life. And I guess, John, I'll let you get back to pass it on to Diane.
Well, can I say something?
Yes.
Iris
Go ahead.
Iris is more than a good friend. We don't have a fence. We live next door to each other. For those of you who may not know, that was another thing that happened. Iris called me one morning in 1990. She knew I was looking for a house, and she said, the house next door to me is for sale. I was like, she won't mind me living next door. That was 1990.
Oh, yes.
And there is nothing like feeling the comfort and safety and love of someone that close.
Yeah.
Iris is truly, truly my sister.
Yeah.
Iris, Bush, Candace, Kelly, Tyler.
Oh my goodness.
Chloe, all of you all. I love you.
Yes, we love you too.
Yes, yes, yes. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you so much, Iris.
Oh,
And now, to talk about their lives growing up together, Donna's sister, Diane McIntyre.
Mhm.
Can you hear me now? Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear.
Okay. Happy birthday, Donna.
Thank you, Diane.
So you've had many birthday greetings today.
Yes, yes, yes. Wow.
All of the people joining in with bringing such good wishes for
Yeah.
today. So that was beautiful, Iris and Donna. Now, I would like to go back to when you do witness to history, you usually talk to people about before they came to Shaker.
Yes.
So we can go back. We did live in an area before we were at Mount Pleasant. However, maybe you could tell a story or something about our parents, Dorothy and Benny McIntyre. Something that you think would be nice for everybody to know about them. And if you'd like, our name our grandparents also.
Yes.
Is there going to be a picture? Oh, okay. Oh, all right.
Those are our parents,
Yes.
Benny and Dorothy McIntyre.
Mhm.
Actually, Ma grew up in upstate New York and went to West Virginia State College and came to Cleveland in 1941 and met our father, Benny McIntyre. He actually was born in New York, no, in Jacksonville. He was born in Jacksonville, and his family moved up to Cleveland by 1918 or so. They lived in New York for a while, but he really grew up in Cleveland. And Daddy used to tell us stories. He made Cleveland sound like it was just heaven. Both our parents were quite storytellers. I mean, that's, I'm sure, where we get it from. But Ma and Daddy married in January of 1942, and then Daddy went off to the war. He was gone for 3.5 years. And then when he came back, here we were. Diane was born, and then me. And this picture, this picture, of course, was right after they were married with Daddy's uniform on. He was in the Army. And this other picture is in Columbus, actually. In Columbus, they would come and visit all the time. I would say, oh, I'd love to come down there and shop and eat. Columbus. She'd always say, and I like that you live in the country. I said, I don't live in the country. She said, you have no sidewalk. You live in the country. And then, we always had many gatherings with our mother after Dad passed. And maybe he hadn't even at that particular point. But I just like that picture, kissing my mother.
Yes. One thing, if you could tell about some things that Daddy used to teach you.
Oh, Daddy taught us everything.
But he would teach you kind of mechanical things.
Oh, yes. Everything. I was the helper all the time. And I think that some of you can remember a term that people would say, attaboy. That would always say, attagirl to me, attagirl, whatever it was. So, we learned how to use all kinds of tools and do everything around the house, paint, whatever. And I was always close by. But I remember too having a train when we were young that they'd lay out on the floor. I had marbles. I also thought I was going to be, we said this today earlier in the household, I thought I was going to be a cowboy. I had my chaps and everything, so I really thought that there were some things, in boys' lives that were more fun than girls. So I was heading in that direction. So here are pictures of us when, of course, obviously I'm a baby, and Diane. And I was wondering, you're probably holding a purse, which would probably not have been a surprise for you.
A purse? I'm like 2 years old.
Well, yes. Ma used to talk about how dainty you were. Okay. And I would think too that the outfit that I have on, our grandmother probably made. She made many of our clothes. She was an amazing seamstress.
Yeah.
So that probably is, because I'm sure that hat and coat, match. And the picture in the middle is one that we've always been accustomed to, sitting on actually that was the coffee table. Coffee table, but looks like a professional picture. And then this kindergarten picture here is kind of the expression that I usually had. And at some point, we found half this picture. We don't know where the other half of it is, but at least the half that we found, I'm in there. And this is at Rickoff Elementary School. This is at Rickoff in Miss Posakini's class. I saw somebody, I talked to somebody a couple of weeks ago who said that she also had Miss Posey for kindergarten.
Mm,
And we went, we went, of course, half day, but we could walk from 140th and, 140th and Bartlett, walk to
we
school.
we never took a school bus.
No, and did not have to have our parents accompany us.
No,
5.
and we would go around the corner to the store when we were 4 or 5 years old, we were living on West, crossed a street.
Across this main street.
I remember I came back once with some cabbage and she really wanted lettuce. But we didn't, it was those particular days, there was not a fear of young people going out by themselves. And we weren't accompanied often. We had a sense of freedom and safety.
Mhm. There was always a corner store.
Yes,
And the family we would know, they had been in the neighborhood so long, we would get to know them.
yes. So, and a story about Mom. What
Yes.
when you were in elementary school and you told the people something that your mother did?
Yes, I came to school and it must have been that everybody was telling stories about their family. And I told the class that my mother was a flyer, that she had received her pilot's license. And I don't believe that the teacher believed me. And so I might have been in 3rd grade or so. And so our mother, Dorothy Lane, before she came to Cleveland, went to West Virginia State College. And at the time that she was there was a program that was from the Diane, you know this better than me, Civil Aeronautics Authority.
Yes.
U.S. Civil Aeronautics Authority. And so they instituted a flight program to train men, for the most part, to prepare for them to participate in World War II. And so they had this program there actually before it went to Tuskegee, and it was there just for the year. And Ma said, well, they would allow 1 woman for every 10 men in this flight program. And she said, oh, I can do that. Actually, she grew up in Leroy, New York, where there was a Jell-O actually was there in Leroy. And there was an airport there, and there would be air shows. So even as a child, Ma and Aunt Ruth and Grandpa and the whole family would go to the air show. So she had been accustomed to seeing airplanes. And so she went to West Virginia State, got her license in June of 1940. And just recently we received information that she's going to be included in a book called Flight Girls. Is that Flight Girls?
I think it's going to be a movie, a documentary.
Yes, we don't know,
Like that.
people knew she could fly, mine was all over. Now we would go to air shows a lot. We would take, the Cleveland Air Show. So that picture on the left is just us sitting out there near the lake. Ma loved to watch the airplanes. And on the right, just last year, you can see that everybody has a mask on. This is at the airport. So Cleveland Airport. So if anybody is in the baggage claim area, there is this display of Tuskegee Airmen. And Ma was a member of the Tuskegee Airmen here in Cleveland. And as you can see, the bottom left picture is our mother. So everybody gets to, see that our mother was a flyer. There's also a plaque on Kinsman, around 132nd and Kinsman, and it has our mother on that plaque as well. So our mother was a flyer. She was a flyer. So we always knew that.
Yes.
Knew that. I didn't say anything else about it after that. Teacher didn't believe me though.
Yes, we didn't, after that happened to Donna, we didn't talk that much about the fact that our mother was a flyer.
Right.
We just kept it kind of quiet.
Yes, until you actually performance of Takeoff from a Forced Landing, and then it was over.
Yes, then everybody knew. Yeah,
knew.
In the 1980s.
Yes.
And okay, so you grew up, then do you have a picture of her as a cheerleader at John Adams High School? Yes, John Adams. We loved John Adams.
Yes, we did.
Our high school.
We are the rebels.
There she is.
Yes,
a lot of you have not seen this picture, even relatives, even close relatives of ours.
Right. Diane was a cheerleader. I was a cheerleader. What did you do? Were you a rebelette?
Who, me?
Iris.
Iris,
I think Iris was a rebelette.
I'm muted.
okay,
Yeah,
you were a
Yeah.
rebelette.
we lived John Adams.
Yes, we did.
Yes,
Yes, we did.
We went to
That was-
school and stayed all day.
yes.
There was nothing
And,
like
and during the time when we were in school, it was a racially mixed, what you call,
Mhm.
ethnically, racially, well, it's a long story about why it was like that in terms of the neighborhoods.
Mhm.
It was I call it kind of a racial balance. An ideal, like, oh, look at this school, but we didn't think anything about it. That's just,
Oh,
you can see it in the cheerleader squad.
Yeah, I just saw that Karen said she never knew I was a cheerleader. Yes, Karen, I was a cheerleader.
You see what
And
I mean?
Karen graduated from, didn't you graduate from Adams, Karen? I think Karen might
No,
graduate.
I graduated from East Tech,
Oh,
but
that's
I was a high stepper at East Tech.
okay. Okay.
Okay,
Okay. Oh, you
yeah,
graduated from Ohio State. That's what it was. I knew it
yes,
was from, an
Yes.
institution the same.
yes.
Yes.
So then Donna went on to OSU, Ohio State.
Yes, I did. I followed my sister.
Oh, look, wait, Vicky Elder was a cheerleader at
Oh,
Adams.
I didn't know you were a cheerleader, Vicky.
Oh, my goodness. See, all these things come out now. That was before.
Yes. Okay, we're gonna have more conversations about that. I didn't know that.
And
Vicky.
varsity volleyball. All right,
Oh, goodness. That's wonderful.
before Shaker.
Right.
Now you're at OSU.
I'm at Ohio State University and went there in 1966, and literally I followed Diane there. I said, well, let's make it easy. Pack one car up, go down the road, and you can drop us both off. And I would go to the university, for whatever little siblings weekend or something like that. So I had been there a few times, and Diane was there, dancing. And so freshman year, okay, let me show you who I'm going to talk about. It's easier. The bottom picture, the right picture, third from the right is Amelia Travis Bay. And we're standing right next to each other. During orientation in August, before we even started classes, and I'll call her Sissy. Sissy is, she said, my name is Amelia Travis Bay, and she's online with us tonight.
Yay, Sissy.
Hey, sis. And she said, I'm from Phoenixville, Pennsylvania. And I was like, what? Okay, we met during orientation and we still are good friends. We joined the sorority Zeta Phi Beta. We were the inaugural chapter in Ohio. In Ohio, there was not an undergraduate Zeta chapter in the state of Ohio. And so any chapters that anybody knows of, we were the first chapter to go over online under the graduate chapter in Columbus. And Sis and Avis, and they all teased me about how I waffled back and forth about, being in the sorority, but I was on that first line and very proud of it. And so there were Laura and Thelma and me and Sis and Renelda and Judy. And I mean, just lifelong friends. And Sis and Linda Scott and Abbas Jenkins McMillan, the four of us traveled every 2 years before the pandemic. So we're going to have to get our schedule back together. Actually, we went out to Sedona one time, Janice. We went out to Sedona one time several years ago.
Yes, well, lifelong friends. You have some friends who have been connected with you from OSU and from CSU. So before we go to CSU, I want you to say, well, we have the personal part, then we have what you decided to study. And say that kind of briefly, but I want you to show pictures of your good friends also, and other good friends.
Oh, absolutely. I have wonderful friends.
So you got your undergraduate and graduate degree, right?
Yes. Actually, I went to Ohio State with the intention of majoring in English and getting, and teaching English, because English was I just loved to read. We read unbelievable novels in high school, just unbelievable. And so that was my intention. And I didn't end up doing that. I ended up switching from English because of an experience I had at the beginning of my sophomore year that was not a pleasant one. I ran into a class that I registered in by accident, said, I'll do it anyway. I'm going to be an English major, and didn't do well. Didn't do well at all. And it really influenced me to think about how it was that English was not going to be my thing at Ohio State. And Diane, actually, you were the one who said, you know, you like foreign languages. I had taken German in 5th grade on the radio in Cleveland schools. It came across the radio, and then took French all the way through junior and senior high school. And then I had a Russian roommate when I was a freshman, and I took a Russian class. Здравствуйте, как вы поживаете? I would hear her talk to her mother on the phone, and I just loved it. And I started taking Spanish. I had never had it before. And I ended up getting my degree in Spanish. But here we are, Ohio State University. Anybody knows the Oval? I think that's Orton Hall or whatever. Karen, you might remember that better than me. But part of the story there was it was the 60s. And so you can see that we all had our afros. I have to let you know that Cynthia is my friend in the picture. Cynthia Zachary. And Cynthia grew up on 140th Street, 9 houses from us. So I knew Cynthia when she was 4. And so after my first year at Ohio State, I had decided I wasn't going to go back. It wasn't working for me. And so Cynthia said, you can't leave. She said, you can't leave. The only reason I'm going is because you're there. You follow Diane. I'm going to follow you. And so, you know, I was like, okay. And we were roommates when I was a sophomore. She was a freshman, and Avis was our roommate. And we were just always friends. She was the little sister I never had. And I can't even say enough. And if Jeannie Bobo's online, I don't know if Jeannie's with us this evening, but Cynthia was also Jeannie Bobo's best friend. So Cynthia introduced me to Jeannie when they were in 7th grade. They met at Hamilton. But Cynthia and I can't even say enough. And she influenced me significantly, even as a child. You know, I spent so many hours in their house, you know, listening to, you know, gospel and, you know, getting to know and so close to Mr. and Mrs. Zachary. Mrs. Zachary is still with us. She's 98. She still lives on 140th Street. And unfortunately, Cynthia passed in 2017. Anybody who knows me knows she's my buddy.
Yeah. That was them a little bit later years.
This was after we had babies on the right.
You're looking good after they had babies.
It's Cynthia's backyard.
Yeah.
So she stayed in Columbus.
Yeah. So you stayed in Columbus.
I used to take care of her son when she was working.
Yeah.
When they were small, I took care of Ty.
Yeah.
Ty. Yep.
Then when you came to Cleveland.
Oh yes.
And then you had a higher education.
Oh yeah, I ended up getting my master's while I was at Ohio State in adult education. I wanted to pursue education, you know, so I wanted to find a way to have a degree in education, and got my master's in education right after my undergraduate degree. So when we left, Alvin and I left, and lived in Philadelphia for 2 years. And so I started working there. There's Alvin.
There they are.
And are you on the line? I mean, I don't know if he's on the Zoom. He might be looking at a football game.
Okay, tell them who everybody is in case people don't know.
Okay, so Alvin and I, top left. I'm like, we have outfits on. I'm like, I bet that's in New York. Alvin's originally from Jamaica.
Yeah.
I met him at Ohio State. Cynthia introduced us. Okay, in 1968. And then we got married in 71. And we would travel up to New York all the time. And Diane was in New York too, you know.
So I know his parents.
Yeah, so, you know, they lived in the Bronx and Diane lived in Harlem. And then, you know, these pictures, these are all Columbus pictures. I think the one up at the top left is New York. But this is when we were living in Columbus and had our family. And I think that picture on the bottom left is in the backyard at our house on Bostwick Road. Mariama was born in Columbus, October 13th, 1975. Miata was born in Philadelphia, February 22nd, 1974. And, you know, between the two of them, we moved back to Columbus. And, you know, I just was a stay-at-home mom for several years. Stay-at-home mom. I stayed home with the kids and knew that I was just blessed. You know, I was able to be there and to experience all of their firsts, and sometimes the firsts of other people's children too. I would never tell parents what I had experienced. I'd want them to experience it themselves. So I took care of Ty and I took care of other children as well. And
Yes.
you know, thought about daycare. It just didn't pan out. Oh, Karen was born in Columbus. I'm looking at the chat too. I'm trying to keep up with the chat.
Yes.
But we're just out in the park, this bottom right picture, and this is just a friend, you know, out there in the park with Miata and Mariana.
It's beautiful family pics.
Yeah, thank you.
Returned to Cleveland. So
81.
Alvin and Donna, they always have remained friends. Okay. However, they parted ways in a very mutual, wonderful way.
Oh,
Okay.
you're talking about Alvin?
Yeah.
Where is he? I asked if he's on the line. And just recently, Alvin moved up to Cleveland.
From Columbus.
Yeah, from Columbus. He stayed in Columbus all those years.
Yeah. And his daughters have been taking such good, they've been taking good care of him. It's not like he needs care, like, you know, oh, he needs care. They just there he is. Talk, Alvin. Alvin.
Alvin, are you on the line?
Yes,
We can't hear you.
I unmuted myself.
There you
Okay.
are. Okay. There you are, Alvin. How? I just saw
Yeah.
you earlier today.
There he is.
Okay, Alvin.
Oh, okay, got you. Here we are.
You are.
So we
There's Alvin.
things about you, Alvin. He's been
Right.
a great father and a great grandfather too.
So I don't know if Alvin knows that, but I knew what kind of father he was going to be.
Okay.
That was clear. That was obvious.
Yeah.
Grandfather. So just recently, just within the last few months, Alvin has moved from Columbus to Cleveland.
Yeah. So
That's really a blessing. So we were talking about that today. We're like, oh, you know, it's you know, interesting. We see each other all the time now.
yes.
He lives around the corner.
So when you got to Cleveland, when you yourself got to Cleveland with Miata Mariama, you had something that made you realize that you wanted to be in higher education.
Yes.
Was already working in social services. You knew that your calling was to do things to help people.
Mhm.
You wanted to do things to help people. But something, you worked at Dyke College and somebody spoke to you. And you were in administration in Dyke College and somebody said something to you. What was that?
You're talking about when it was that I found about the job at Cleveland State?
Yes.
Yes, yes. Well, at Dyke, I was, when I first came back to Cleveland, I worked in social service. And when I left there, I knew that I would just work in higher education. I had worked at Ohio State, you know, as a graduate student. And then I came back in the late 70s.
Wait,
Who is this? Nikki went to Dyke.
Nikki Elder also went to.
I had no idea how much we were in the same place. I had
She
to ask
also
Nikki
went
when you
to
were
Dyke.
John Adams Dyke College. So when I was at Dyke, I had never heard of Dyke College, but you know, I came back and I had already had higher ed experience. I had worked at Ohio State full time in the late 70s, and then left there and went and worked at the Urban League. But when I came to Cleveland and I worked at the Urban League for a little while in another social service agency, I knew that I wasn't cut out, you know, for social service, and I had already had experience in higher ed. And so Dyke was really good for me. I ended up being the director of the co-op program there, the cooperative education program. And I was at a meeting with the city of Cleveland, and there were some people there, Liz Martin, Pam remembers her, Liz, and Karen remember her, in career services. I think she was the assistant director, and she said, we have some positions open. I said, what are they? She said, you want to work for us? I was like, I don't know. How much do you pay? You know? And so there was a coordinator position in the co-op program, and kind of the rest is history. Steve Kravinsky there on the right was the director at the time. And I ended up coming to Cleveland State as the coordinator, the business coordinator in co-op. And then a few years later, I remember Steve coming in my office and saying, what would you do if you had some grant money? I said, we should write some proposals to, to support minority students. These employers were placing students in these positions. They're like breathing down our necks to have students of color on their schedules. They're attempting to diversify their workforce, and we need more students. And so Pam and Karen were part of the staff of the LINK program. So we received funding from the Cleveland Foundation and federal funding grant money to start the LINK program. And I'm proud to say, that I was really there, one of the founders of the LINK program. And the whole point was to recruit students from high school, give them scholarships, place them in co-op positions. So that would help to defray their costs, through college. And these were, high achieving students. Pam and Karen, all of us, still have connections with some of the students that were in the LINK program, and the LINK program is still around.
What's co-op and LINK?
Well, co-op is a program, a lot of universities have it, where students work while they're still in school. They work in their field. They're internships. They're paid internships. And it started really for engineering students, engineering throughout the country. Actually, it started at Cincinnati. And so students would, work one semester and then go to school one semester, and they'd be paid. Okay. And so then when they graduated, very often they ended up working for the employer they were with as a co-op. And so Cleveland State had, big co-op program, big co-op. Yeah. And so our point really was to give students scholarships and then place them in co-op positions.
And so what year? Go on.
I came to Cleveland State in 1985 and stayed there in career services until the very end of '89. It was an amazing experience. So John, if you go back to the picture before, yes, the picture down below, these are CSU friends. And so Janice, are you sure? There's Lynn and Judy, Pam, Karen, Pam's mother. I mean, we are still good friends. We are. This was the network of women at Cleveland State who worked in student support programs. Our heart was about supporting minority students through the university. Our heart was there, and our work. And Pam ended up being what were you, Pam? The director of student affairs in the College of Engineering. Now she lives in DC. She lives in DC. And Karen, left to be the director of Inroads in Columbus. And, we could just go on and on and on about some of the things the students did, who we met in the LINK program. Just wonderful, wonderful. And employers started really pouring money into the program for scholarships.
Then you went into another department.
Yes, that was one of the benefits being at a large university, was that sometimes you could, move into other opportunities because of the size of the institution. And so I ended up at that time being hired to be, the assistant vice president for minority affairs. Ray Winbush was the vice president. But then after he left, and I already knew Melody. I knew Melody as the director of affirmative action. Remember those years, Melody? And so, yes. And so in Jerry Newhome, who's on the left, in the picture on the left side, was the vice president for minority. And I'm saying minority affairs because that was the name of the department initially. Minority Affairs and Human Relations, and we were Minority Affairs and Community Relations, and then we were Institutional Diversity. And so, and Jerry and Melody and I were what would we say, Melody? The triumvirate.
Yeah. We were the team.
We were the team. We worked together, unprecedented, for 20 years.
Yeah.
Worked together.
Wonderful.
Absolutely wonderful experiences. And just the picture above, which was in the university publication, just to say that, CSU, and we had won a diversity award. So, and then Jerry really was the, the energy, the brains, the visionary, behind the work. And Melody was the director of diversity training. My goodness, do we miss you?
Yeah.
I'm not in that type of position anymore. I'm not in an administrative position. We did good work. We did good work. Lou Brown was in the picture. Linda Pacey, as you see, picture in the publication there. So we're real proud that there were awards that we received.
Yes. So a couple of more things I wanted people to be able to know about. You received your PhD.
Yes.
In this same program you were in, you got your, yes, there you are.
Yes. Actually,
that picture too, and then Jerry. There they are.
Jerry and Melody.
The triumvirate.
Too. But yes. When Jerry started Cleveland State in 1992, I was starting my doctoral program. And I shared that with her. I shared with her that I was just beginning this doctoral program. At Ohio State, I knew, just from being connected with people working on their doctorate, that was something I wanted to get a degree beyond the master's. I always knew that. But I didn't know that I was going to get a degree in history. I didn't know that until it, came about, that would be what I would pursue. I talked to somebody actually at Cleveland State who was in a doctoral program. I said, don't you go to Case? Melody, you remember her name. She used to work in affirmative action with you. Evelyn.
Oh, yeah.
Evelyn was in the doctoral program at Case. I said, what's your program? She said, social policy history. I said, that sounds good.
Yeah, Evelyn Hunt.
Sounds good. I said, but history is very labor intensive. But so I went to Case and worked full-time, went to school part-time.
Your children were teenagers.
Yeah, they were Miata graduated in 92, so we were both in school. Mariama graduated in 93 from high school. All three of us were in college at the same time. And on the bottom picture left is my advisor, Dr. David Hammock. He was the graduate advisor when I came into the program, and he was there when I graduated. So he was my dissertation chair. And I wanted to put this picture in, and of course you see our family there.
Both our parents and all the generations were there to see you receive.
Yes, and Iris was there too. I couldn't find the picture. I knew Iris was there too. So I mean, the support, just, unwavering, loving support through everything in my life, always. And I wanted to show the picture too, where I'm holding Amira's hand. Case had this wonderful practice of allowing family members to walk across the stage with you.
You have it.
That's it.
There it is.
Yeah.
But we don't see the whole thing.
No, that's as much as the photographer got.
I see.
Yeah, so I'm holding Amira's hand and we're standing on the stage, and I think I'm shaking hands with probably the provost or somebody.
Maybe.
Yeah, you see Amira?
Yes, maybe that means she'll walk across the stage to get her PhD too.
Oh, wow. Okay, I like that.
Okay.
I like that.
Oh, that's beautiful.
Thank everybody for their support. I was determined. Sometimes it was touchy.
Yes. You wrote a book.
Easy. It was not easy. Well, I at one point, I think I was telling Kevin the other day, I had these 3 goals in life: to teach, to have my doctorate, and to write a book. So, I mean, the dissertation could feel that way, but I didn't actually have it published as a book. But, in 2016, I was part of a team of people who actually published a book about desegregation in the North. And so,
we have a picture of that.
Boycotts, busing, and beyond. Yes.
Yes.
Boycotts, busing, and beyond. And so I have a chapter in this book. And so, it was wonderful working with the team. Dr. Ronnie Dunn was the person who convened us, and 5 of us actually wrote the book that was published in 2016. And the other flyer was just to let you all know that, and this, many of you, that I have given presentations here and there, on the struggle in Cleveland, about around segregation before the case, the desegregation in 1973. and that Cleveland lost. And so I'm very familiar with the details of, the segregation issues in Cleveland before, the NAACP represented a number of students in the case of the Cleveland schools in the state of Ohio. And Cleveland, the schools lost. And then they had court-ordered busing. But here it is, that picture, just a minute, just to say that, that picture, and it says, I am on relay. There was a practice in Cleveland schools, in many schools, crowded schools across the country, where children would have to go to school half day. So they'd have two different sessions of children. Teachers would have two full classrooms of children, morning session, and then they would go home, and then there would be a session of students that would come in the afternoon.
I did that.
Who's that?
Elise.
Elise, I need to hear. Yes.
That,
Yeah. And so it was, students really lost time, compared to the time that they would have been in a regular classroom. And so relay classes ended, but then they replaced it with something else. So, and now actually I'm working with the Cleveland Restoration Society, and they're installing Ohio historical markers around the city. And one of them is going to be specifically on Cleveland schools, and the marker is going to go in front of the building. That was the Board of Education on East 6th Street.
Oh, good.
So we're just working on that this year.
That's nice. She's part of that too. She's part of very important, she's on the board of very important initiations.
Not on that board.
We wanted to go about when you were going to, wait a minute. It will be unveiled.
Oh, yes.
Be unveiled on Ludlow.
Yes, Thursday.
This Thursday.
This Thursday, 4 to 6 o'clock. There's going to be an unveiling of the marker that will go up in Ludlow, in honor of the Ludlow Community Association that established an organization, or an organization. They actually were a real estate company, and they really pushed to keep Ludlow integrated. It was really unprecedented. And so they got all kinds of national recognition, and it certainly put Shaker on the map in the 1960s, late 50s and early 60s, when African Americans were moving into Ludlow and realtors were blockbusting, and they were only selling to Black families. So the white families would flee. And the people in the neighborhood said, not here, not here. And so that marker is going to be installed on the 20th, on Thursday, between 4 and 6. Everybody's invited.
Wonderful.
Yes.
So one last thing, another dream you had was always to set foot in Africa.
Oh, yes.
And then
it happened. It happened. This was while I was still working in Jerry and Melody, and by this time we were probably institutional diversity. And so the opportunity came along because the University of the Free State, the president of that university, initiated a program to send students from the University of the Free State in South Africa to universities around the world to learn about diversity, come back to their institutions, really to be change agents in South Africa. And so Cleveland State was one of the universities that participated in the program. So we would get 6 or 7 students each year, and then every 4th year they would host all of the people who had been participating in the program. And so I ended up being one of the 9 participants from Cleveland State that went to South Africa in 2012. And so there were 3 staff members, 1 faculty member, and 6 students. And as you see, everybody knows who we have pictured here in the middle. Desmond Tutu. He was one of our speakers. What an honor. What an honor. And I mean, literally, I was really that close.
All right.
We were we were in like a chapel. And so these are our students and some South African students, and then just the we traveled from the main campus of the University of Bloemfontein to a campus that was what we would consider to be like an HBCU, but it was a regional campus of the University of the Free State. And it was cold. You see how I am wrapped up there? It was in July. It was not warm. So this picture, I just wanted, we went to an elementary school, the Free State Department of Ed, and then the picture on the bottom are all 9 of us that went, to South Africa. And the bottom right is the president, Jonathan Jansen, who was the president of the University of the Free State. One of the things I want to say about the university, and probably the education in South Africa, they had 2 curricula, one in English and one in Afrikaans. Same courses. So students could choose. They could choose whether they wanted to pursue the English curriculum, the English language, or the Afrikaans. So clearly, the majority of the Black South Africans took the classes in English. And the white students, the white South Africans, very often took the classes in Afrikaans. And the Black South African students were multilingual. Very often they spoke 7 or 8 languages. And the white South African students sometimes would speak maybe 2, English and Afrikaans. So it was an education. Did I freeze?
I
I hear
don't
you.
think so.
Oh.
I'm here
Okay,
with you,
Diane
but
freeze?
I think your sister did.
Oh, okay. Okay, then I can
So
continue.
keep talking about South Africa.
Oh, okay. So that was, okay, we can move on to the next one. Yeah. Okay, so long story short, okay, I guess I don't need to say that at this point. But part of the reason that I wanted to pursue a degree in history was because I would teach undergraduate students. I wanted to teach undergraduate students. And my thought, if I had pursued a doctorate in another field earlier, would not have been history. And so history would really put me in the classroom, which is what I always wanted to do. When you work at a university, it just feels like, the faculty are very significant. And so I really wanted to get in the classroom. So this story that I'm going to tell you about the book, Things Fall Apart, many of you have probably read. I was in the cafeteria in the university center at one point, and I was sitting in the balcony, and I was reading Things Fall Apart. This is many years before I taught a class where I had to use this book. And so I saw this person coming into the cafeteria. I was higher than they were. I saw the top of the person's head, and I said, that head, the top of that person's head looks like Forrest Whitaker. I said, I'm at Cleveland State. And I saw a student accompanying this person. This was in 2012. He was there campaigning for President Obama. And so I came down to the first floor, and I had the book with me. It was a library book. I had just gotten it from the library at Cleveland State. And I said to him, you need to really make this film, and you need to be the star, and blah, blah, blah. And he took the book from me. He took it from me and he signed it. I was like, oh no, this is a library. So what I did was I thanked him. I bought another book and gave it to the library. I said, you can't have this one. I still have that book. And so the other picture is kind of a keepsake. I taught many survey classes in African American history, and this is really, a book that was published, special edition you see here. So I've always kept this book. It's the double volume of this. And it's just, when I received this book, I said, this is one I know that I'm going to keep. It's a hardcover book with President Obama in it. So I'm glad that I happened to be teaching at that time.
I had gone off. What did you all do in between?
Oh, well, we left South Africa and came to teaching. So I teach a number of classes. I won't get into all the classes that I teach, but I teach quite a few classes. In fact, I only teach one class in history now. Mm-hmm. I teach classes in religion and Africana studies and urban studies.
Yes.
But these classes, actually, I do teach a class now that, where we read Things Fall Apart. And if you haven't read it, it's really a good book learning about the Igbo culture.
Okay, I was gonna say before we open it up, and people have made their comments in the chat, but do you want to just mention each of your grandchildren's names
Oh,
too?
yes. Where are they? I mean, I'm looking for the picture of them back. They're back there somewhere.
John is gonna find it.
Out of my babies. There. Yes. Amira, Aaron, and Micaiah. We were all together earlier today.
Mhm.
So Amira is our Christmas baby. She was born on Christmas Day. And Micaiah is now a junior at Shaker High School. Aaron's, he's a man. He's a young man. And we were all here today for my birthday. I love my grandchildren. And this is a picture of Amira graduating from Ohio University. Actually, she finished her degree in special ed. She currently is a graduate student at Cleveland State and subbing. So she's busy. They're just a joy. I don't know that I imagined when I was younger that all of my family would be here, or we would all be in the same place, not necessarily here, but all in the same place. So I know that that's really a gift. It's really a gift for me. And I have to talk about this picture on the bottom right. This is Micaiah, and this is Tyler. This is Iris's grandson. So just as our families have always been very close, Tyler and Micaiah are best friends. They have always been, long before they were born. And so they've even traveled. Micaiah had been to Florida with the family. So, that's really just special. That's just very special that Micaiah and Tyler are so close.
Yes.
We keep it all in the family. Those are my grandchildren. I love you all.
So that's just a
Part of them.
small sample of Donna's life on her birthday. Yay!
Thank you.
Yay.
Yay, Donna.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
You all have
So, Kevin, did you?
So,
Yeah, go
so
on,
I
Kevin.
wanted to,
Mhm.
so I wanted to thank you so much, Diane. I wanted to hand it off finally to Kevin to wrap it up with a couple final questions and thoughts. Also, there were a couple things in the chat.
Yeah, I see. Am I going to be
from
able
Megan and Melody?
Am I going to be able to get this
I
chat?
think Vic,
Yep.
Okay, thank you.
maybe Vicky might have to leave and talk soon.
We'll talk.
She has to know when you were at Dyke College. She was in every area where you were. Now you know.
Vicky's my buddy.
Okay. Kevin.
Thanks, Diane. One of the things that stood out for me when Donna and I were having a conversation in preparation for tonight, and this is maybe a good segue, Donna, you said one of the things I learned from my sister was how to work hard and how to believe in myself.
Mhm.
Could you say a little bit more about that?
Yes. I can't say enough about Diane. I mean, growing up, just the blessing of being in a family, and our parents had the two of us and we were here together. Diane has always been, not only a role model for me, but just normally, I think, sisters are close, but Diane really just always worked very hard. We came from a hardworking family, and so that wasn't so surprising that, that we would want to work hard, but Diane had a different kind of push toward whatever the goal was that she was attempting to achieve. And so I learned that you can just keep pushing until you get closer. And I was really blessed to see that right in the family. And I never had to look outside the family. for any kind of, inspiration to do things that are just created from your own mind and gift. You all probably know, most of you do, that Diane is a dancer, choreographer. That's what she's done all of her life. And I mean, she took dance when she was young, but you don't, I think, as a parent, necessarily think that your child will do this. My mom is an artist too. I mean, I'm in a family of artists. I really am. I really am. And even our grandmother and, her side of the family was, very artistic. But Diane went to Ohio State to major in dance because of the quality of the program at Ohio State. And she danced when we were young. She took ballet, she took modern dance. I tapped a little, in dance school. But then she went to New York when she was very young and had a dance company. I mean, these are kind of things you read that other people do. And Diane just did it as though it was just the normal next thing to do. So this picture, as you see, she was in Essence magazine. I don't know what year this was. This was actually Their Eyes Were Watching God. Diane has choreographed so many different things. And no matter where she is or where we live and where our parents were, we were always there. It was really nice when we were in Philly because we didn't have to go very far. But, but this was a publication in Essence magazine. And this on the right, I'm sure, was at Ohio State.
Yeah.
At Ohio State. So Diane was in the dance, what was it called? Dance company. The student yes. Which was like a professional dance company that was very, very competitive. There were not many people that were able to be in the dance company. And so I have always been in the audience watching my sister dance. And she can dance. She can dance. And she creates these entire narratives through dance. And she's revolutionized the collaboration with jazz artists. It's just Diane. It's just Diane. And, I remember, when we were young, Diane would study so much, I would never get enough sleep. I was like, okay, she'd be up studying, but, she always made me want to work harder, because it was not surprising to her that that's just what you do. It's just what you do. And she had a conversation with me when I was in college, when I wasn't doing real great. And, she put me on the right track. And one thing that I thought of at that time when she said, I tell this story, it's not too much of a story. I remember her saying that when I go into a classroom, I know somebody's going to get an A. She said, I want to make sure that A is mine. I was like, oh, okay. That's a different attitude. Sometimes I go in a classroom and be like, oh, I get to see I'm doing good. But, it changed my whole outlook. It changed my whole outlook. It literally did. It literally did. And so I just felt better about my ability to achieve. At Ohio State, it wasn't like that before. High school was fine and all, but college was really a different kind of an experience that, didn't make me feel that I did as well as I was accustomed to, but I did okay,
But Donna, another thing that you said to me that really stuck with me, you said that you tell your students now at Cleveland State, you are me. I didn't have a me when I was your age.
Yes. We were in school in the 60s. And when I went there, even though we went to high school and it was a reasonably integrated high school, there were, I went there, it was so big. There were very few Black students. We ended up having a community that we created ourselves. But it was, I'd been more accustomed to being in a more nurturing environment in high school and all the way through school. And students really were the reasons why we succeeded. It wasn't because of faculty. It wasn't because there were programs, there weren't any programs. It was really just kind of sheer will. Ohio State didn't care whether we finished or not. And so much of my work in student support programs and all the, Karen and Pam and having somebody, who believes in you and can tell you some things that will really just help you be successful. Some strategies, or just having someone, you can trust, to talk to. And I do tell Seth, I said, well, yeah, you're me. I didn't come out with a PhD. I mean, that's not how it was written. I'm this ordinary person that, pursued various things, in life, but I was where you are at a certain point in my life. These pictures actually are at the two pictures on the left, the middle and the one on the left, is the celebration of the 50th anniversary of the Black Studies program at Cleveland State. And some of you may recognize Sonia Salam. I don't know if Sonia came. I talked to her a little bit earlier today. And Thomas Bynum is the director of Africana Studies now. It's a department. And in the middle, of course, you see Miata and we were at the banquet for the 50th anniversary celebration of Black Studies. And I was there for a year between 2016 and 2017 as the interim director after their former director passed away. And the top right picture is I'm with Michaela Thomas, who was a student in a couple of my classes. And the university has this opportunity for alumni to nominate someone for the Golden Apple Award. So you don't know who it is. And then I was like, Michaela, she had graduated. And so I've gotten a couple of those awards. So that was at the Golden Apple Award. That it's so flattering when your students say that they think that you have done a good job. And so, yes, Michaela, I think, was in two or three of my classes. So that was really an honor.
So just two more things, and then I want to give other people a chance to ask questions. But you sort of referred to the fact that it was a long journey to get to the classroom teaching that you're doing now. Mm-hmm. And you said, some people ask you how long you're going to continue to teach. Yes. And you said, I'm in a world that I've always wanted to be in. That's what makes it so hard to think about stopping.
Mm-hmm. When I'm in the classroom, it's my world. It's really my world. And, some classes I feel better about my world than others. But when I am in the classroom and what I experience, I want everybody to see. I really do. It's not because of what I'm doing. It's the energy that I get back from the students. Sometimes I think about it, I was like, I'm still at Cleveland State. I started there in 1985. I'm still walking around and, I kind of have my path. And then I get to a place where I don't have another calling that's pulling me away from it. And teaching and being in the classroom is just me. I mean, nobody else knows it, and so I don't particularly like certain things like grading papers, but I'm prepping all the time and posting midterm grades that are due Tuesday night. But, aside from all of those things, when I walk in that room, and, this semester, I have every semester, I could say this every semester, I just have these experiences that I can't get anywhere else. First of all, I cannot find another environment as diverse as Cleveland State. There are students from all over the world, and literally more international students there. And so I'm not kind of isolated in just places I would travel around if I, wasn't there. And I think about one student that I have this semester who she makes sure every time before she leaves class that she says goodbye. She comes over to me. Goodbye, Dr. White. You know, and I mean, most people who walk out, they say bye, they're walking by me, but she makes a point to come. So you remember that, you know, I have, I just have students that are just really creative and they just warm my heart. They really do. And I have some students who I've had multiple times. So that is always very flattering. It's very flattering when you say, and it's comforting to know that somebody in the room is familiar. So that happens every once in a while. And I don't know if Bruce is still online, but Bruce Minapachi and I, and he invited me to be a part of a dialogue with him. Yeah, he's in the counseling center. He's a psychologist in the counseling center. So every week we have a small group conversation with students at the university. So it's another way to stay in touch. And thank you, Bruce. Bruce lives in the neighborhood. Hi, Bruce.
Well, it's been delightful doing that with you. And it's kind of, you know, Donna's great knowledge of local history, her awareness of race and racism and history really add to a dialogue that we have around race and racism at the university. It's been wonderful. So thank you. And happy birthday.
Well, thank you, Bruce.
So one more question, Donna, and I guess it's maybe an obvious question to ask in this setting, but we have all now learned just how much you have thrown yourself into this project called Witness to History. Why has it become so important to you?
Oh, goodness. Well, first of all, in preparation for it, I have nice long conversations with my neighbors, you know, and so I really just feel like it enlarges my life and my world. And it came, of course, Kevin, you know, through a conversation you and I were having more than 2 years ago. And you said there are so many people who have witnessed so much in history. I was like, that's the title of it. So anybody who's worked with me knows that that's it. You know, you'll say something. I'm like, that's it. Okay, that's it. And so being able to talk to people, particularly, you know, if they've been longtime residents of Moreland and all the work that you and Lee have done and Colin and everybody in the network and Theo, you know, really is a different place from where I have ever been living here and connecting with people, not necessarily who live on the same street that I do, but in the neighborhood. And hopefully there's not an end to people who will agree to do it. I know next month, I can say this, that Sheila Gardner is my guest in November, second Sunday, and Vanessa Shaw is my guest in December. I try to get ahead. You know, I'm looking into next year. I got a couple of people who have already committed to a couple of months in 2023. But and of course, Megan Hayes, the history librarian with the Shaker Library, they're all available in the library. I know the value of history. You know, I know the value of history and the accessibility of materials for people who want to do research. Somebody will come across this in decades and decades and years from now, and they'll feel like they have discovered a treasure. You know, they will do research on Shaker and Moreland, and they will have these recordings. And I can't really, you know, say enough about how generous people have been in telling their story. And, you know, some people say, I don't say, I said, you tell us whatever you want to say. You know, for me, it's a joy. For me, it's really a joy. And it all came out because, you know, the network, you and Lee, and I mean, this didn't happen by accident. You know, I mean, I have to say to everybody who's here that Kevin is my friend. Lee is my friend. Colin's my friend. John is, you know, you are all my friends, you know, who I have met just through, you know, being a part of the neighborhood. You know, some people I knew before, but this is really, you know, kind of for the benefit of the world. but it also is just, I'm just pleased that I'm able to do this. There was no script. There was no script. John, was there a script? John has been here with us since August of 2020 as well. So I'm not doing this by myself. Not at all. Not at all.
Well, I just hope you see from tonight, Donna, just how much all of us appreciate how your generosity and how much of yourself you've given to all of us.
Oh, thank you. Well, quiet as it's kept, I'm having fun. That's very important. That's a very important element. It really is. It's a very important element for me. I enjoy it immensely.
Well, thank you. I'm going to turn it back over to John.
Thank you so much, Kevin. And as Donna said, please tune in November. It's November 13th, right?
Whatever
the next witness
Sunday is. Yes, it'll be the second. I looked at the schedule. There's no conflict at 6 o'clock.
Yep.
Sheila.
But wonderful. And as always, we have to remind you that you can always contact Donna.
Oh, yes.
And if you don't already have her contact info, I'm going to put it up right now by phone or by email. There are a couple more questions going on in the chat, but before we do that, we have something else very important to do, and I'm going to ask everyone in a moment to unmute so that we can all sing you happy birthday. All right, so on my cue, go ahead and unmute. All right, I'll give you a second to do that. And then I'll count up to 3, and then it's going to be a brilliant cacophony of love. Okay, so ready? 1, 2, 3.
Happy birthday to you.
Happy
Birthday to you.
birthday. Happy birthday, dear Donna. Happy birthday to you.
I hear you, Linda.
That was wonderful.
Hey, Donna. Yay. Happy birthday.
Like
Love you,
John said,
Donna.
a cacophony.
Happy birthday, Donna. Love you.
Thank you, thank you, thank
Love you, Donna.
Thank you.
I love you, Mommy. Happy birthday. Happy birthday.
Happy birthday, Mama.
Yay.
Donna, from Sam and myself, we're just
thank you.
thrilled with your experiences, and thank you so much for all that you've done for Shaker.
Oh,
I'm thinking of the education committee, and we're just doubly blessed, aren't we?
oh yes.
Thank you.
All so
Keep up the good work. I know you will, as long as you can.
Yes.
I will. Puts it along. Long as I can.
I just want to say I'm just proud to be your daughter. It's just so nice just to listen and watch, and I know all the stories, but to be in the space where I am, I've been a witness all my life of your amazingness, but to share it in this way with everyone else is really nice. To be able to witness it with everyone else is so nice, and to see all your friends and colleagues on the show, on the Zoom is really great. Happy birthday.
It was really not easy for me just to talk about my family. I was like, okay, I can just talk about my kids and my sister, and I could do that all night. I could do that all night, because I am blessed every day. I am. Because you don't even, I think sometimes I don't even feel like I have enough nerve to ask for the life that I have. I'm just blessed to have it. And, just to have, the surrounding of, such a loving family. It doesn't happen all the time, and of course I'm proud of my daughters. Of course I'm proud of them. But, it's really something else that, I see how they give their gifts to the world too. So that really makes me proud. That makes me just feel like some way or the other, without trying to say it, it just happened. It just happened. And I have to thank Alvin. Goodness. I mean, and we could tell our story, Alvin, for sure. I mean, one of the things that people have always said, Alvin and I, we're married for some length of time, and then we have been unmarried for longer. Alvin he's my friend. He has shaped who I am. And it's really a joy for him to be so close right now. He is just an amazing father, an amazing grandfather. And I knew that. But I have to thank everybody who's here. I just love you all. I love you all.
Love you too.
Love you too.
Gotcha. Love you too.
Yes, Linda's on. Hi, Linda. I see you all.
Hi, Dad.
Yeah, see, we can, some people I know, like Linda Sowell, I know because of Pat and Elise. John, I want to show the family. Maybe it's the second to the last picture,
I gotcha.
I think. Yes, there we are. These are there you are, Pat and Elise.
Yeah.
Pat and Elise here on the top left picture. Our mothers were best friends. Our mothers were best friends. When my mother moved to Cleveland, she worked with Gladys, Pat and Elise's mother. And so, of course, obviously, we've known each other all our lives. And so we call each other our cousins. We're too close to just be friends. So, Pat and Elise, when I go anywhere out of town, I go down to Atlanta.
Yeah.
That's it. That's where I go. So they're just, my heart. We have marathon conversations. Yeah. Pat, how long did we talk the other day? I think we looked up, it had been like 5 hours. We took care of the whole territory. The picture on the top right is Grayscale. She's in DC now. Her birthday's tomorrow, but I wanted to make sure that I had a picture of Grace there. She's my buddy. I met in 1967 in Columbus. She was working for, her aunt went to Ohio State, and I met her through her aunt. And then Grace moved to Cleveland, kind of because I was here. But we ran into each other after we knew each other when we were I was in college with her aunt. We used to go over Grace's house and play Pekino with Penny. And I ran into her one time years later in Planned Parenthood. Planned Parenthood. And from that point on, we were fast friends. And then you all recognize Carmela and Vicky and Iris on the bottom left. We were over at Lakewood Park watching the sunset. And this picture in the middle is Judy and Jesse. Judy is our first cousin on our mother's side, lives in DC. Judy's probably online. And the picture on the right, bottom right, is my stepson, Michael. So we are a family, immediate family of 5. And Michael would always come and stay with us in the summer when he was young. So, I'm as close to him as I would if he was my son. And here, more pictures. Hortense is our cousin in Culpeper, who still lives in Culpeper, which is my mother's roots in Culpeper, Virginia. When she was here in Cleveland, as you see, the Rock Hall of Fame, we had a family reunion here in 2019. And Jeannie Bobo, many of you may know her as Cheryl. Jeannie and Cynthia, who's in the middle picture there with her son, Ty. And I took care of Ty when he was, preschooler. Jeannie was Cynthia's best friend. They met in junior high and they share birthdays. October 23rd. So her birthday is coming up next Sunday. And I'll have her as my guest at some point on Witness the History. And the bottom right picture, Teresa, Obie, and Caroline Sanders, I grew up next door to. Diane and I grew up next door to on 140th Street. We were at a reunion, a John Adams reunion several years ago, and I didn't want to miss including lifelong friends, people we're still in contact with, and, glad that everybody's doing well.
Their mother pierced our ears.
Sanders.
Yep.
Sanders, yep. And you all might recognize some people in this picture in our Moreland neighborhood. This was at Mariama's event. Was it 2 summers ago? What year was it? Was it 20?
That was last summer,
Well, last summer, 2021.
2021.
Yes, 2021. Yes. So, just wanted to show you that, you all are all in my heart. You all are all in my heart. I just thank you for everything that you've done for me. Just love you all. Thank you for coming to my party. I was anticipating this, but it's been a wonderful day. It's been an absolutely wonderful day. What a blessing. Thank you all. Hi there, Pat.
Hi.
Pat Eaton. How you doing?
Oh, Pat.
Yeah, oh yeah. Yeah, we know a lot of Pats. We know a lot of Pats. And Seal, I see everybody. Jerome. I can see folks.
Can I say something quickly, Mama?
She would like to see it.
Yeah, Miata.
I just want to say earlier, you were just saying how blessed you are for the life that you have. I just want to say that we are all blessed, especially Mariam and I, for you to be our mother.
Mhm.
And through this presentation, there are things that I did not see, I've never seen or heard. Like some pictures, I was like, oh, I've never seen that picture before. So I'm learning things about my mother even through this presentation, and which is pretty awesome. But overall, I just want to say that you have been such an inspiration for us all of our lives. You are an encourager. You are just love. You take care of our children and so many other people's children. And many of our friends call you, Mom. So it just shows how big your heart is. And I just want to say I thank you and I love you and happy birthday, Mama.
Oh, thank you, sweetie pie. Thank you, sweetie pie. I love you too. I do. I'm so proud of my girls. Absolutely.
Donna. This is Alvin. I just want to say that you don't know how much I really treasure you, because sometimes I'm silent. But this presentation gave me other insight into you that I did not know. And I just want to tell you that I cherish you, I love you, and I'm so happy that I've been a part of your life. Word cannot, and I express how I feel, and I thank the Lord for placing you in my life. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
For all that you have done and continue to do.
Thank you, Alvin.
I love you. I love you dearly.
No, I love you.
As Duke Ellington would say, I love you madly.
Alvin.
Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you all.
Thank you so much for being here. George had asked, when you were young, did you ever fly with your mother? Did you ever want to be a pilot like your mother?
Well, no, I never wanted to be a pilot. When we were young, flying was not something that was, I went up with our mother one time. I think I was probably about 12. And so, when we were young, flying was just kind of abstract. I don't think I flew for the first time on a commercial airline until I was 21. We traveled a lot when we were young, didn't we, Diane? Mom and Daddy would put us in the back seat and we drove, because we'd go visit a family in Leroy up in New York. We would go to Baltimore every year, at least once a year, maybe twice, to Culpeper. So we always were in other places. Our father had been a traveling salesman. My father, he loved to drive. He loved to drive. He just loved the feel of being on the road. So, and we would go to the airport, you know, they used to have the observation deck, remember that? We'd go there and just watch the planes. But that didn't make me want to be up in the air with all that, nothing between me and the ground. You know, it's not exactly my favorite thing to do now. You know, I'm comfortable with it, but I never was motivated to think about flying. And you know how it is, like with you, you know, she was just our mother. You know, she flew, but that was not in our consciousness all the time. There was always a picture, you know, of her next to the plane. But you know, our mother was, you know, she was our mother. She was quite a mother. Very loving mother. Yes, you know, but she was just as proud of being a teacher. You know, that was what I heard. She didn't necessarily say she wanted us to fly, but you know, she did like the thought. And I actually, when I graduated from Ohio State, my mother could hook up whatever, you know, you have those people who are the ones that are your contacts that are always real reliable. My mother was mine. She had somewhere or the other managed to get a job for me as a business education teacher, and I wasn't even certified. And I didn't come home. She was like, oh, they said you can get your certification later. You know, she was determined to, you know, for me to teach, but I turned it down. I decided to stay in Columbus. Kind of the rest is history. Alvin and I got married. Okay.
You have a lot of high praise in the comments, and I'll make sure to save the chat for you.
I thank you. Thank you, everybody. Thank you, everybody, for being here to celebrate with me. Thank you. And this is not a milestone birthday for me, so I just wanted to say that this is not one to, not yet. Thank you, John. Thank you, John and Diane and Iris and Kevin and everybody who's here today.
Thank you, Donna.
Thank you. Enjoy your day tomorrow. I'll be in touch with everybody. I know everybody.
Happy birthday.
Thank you.
And happy birthday.
Thank you, everybody, for being here.
Happy birthday,
Donna. Thank you, Pamela.
For Karen, Marshall, and me, she has been a friend, a mentor, and that's why we call her our big sister.
Yes.
We work for a better person than Donna. And you couldn't have more fun working with somebody than Donna. You learn so much, and you love so much, and you laugh so much. We've had some great times. So.
Yes, we did. Sometimes we would come and get us. We'd be Karen and Pam and I would be sitting in an office laughing so hard. They'd be like, what are you all doing? You're supposed to be at work.
Always a great time.
You love what you do.
Great
You don't work a day in your life, they say so.
Yes.
Hi, Karen. Hi, Pam.
Hey there,
Hey,
Linda.
How you doing?
Good to see you all.
Good to see you, and good to see Melody. Hi, Melody.
Yes, hi, Melody.
Hey, hi, Melody.
Hi, everybody. It's been wonderful. Happy birthday.
Moriyama.
What a celebration.
So nice. Yeah, so well deserved.
We have to go out to dinner, Melody.
And we have to go out to lunch.
We all have to get together, all of us local folks.
Let's all go together.
Well, that'd be nice.
Yeah, right. We'll
and Pat, you can come back up and you come too. You and Lee.
That'd be nice.
Look, I'm still trying to work off all of the meals I had while I was there.
That was here a few weeks ago.
I did a lot of damage.
I see all my Moreland neighbors, Mrs. Elder, and who did I just saw? And George. George, it's so good to see you. Mrs. Hooper, Sam, Calvin. Thank you for coming, Calvin. I can't name everybody. Thank you all for being here. I appreciate it.
Wouldn't have missed it.
Oh, thank you. Well, you all have
Thank you, Donna.
A pleasure and honor.
Yeah, thanks for sharing your story.
Oh, absolutely. I'll be talking to you, Sheila.
Thank you, Donna, for being a neighbor without fences.
Yes, thank you, Calvin. Just a wonderful neighbor. Calvin McIntyre. I'd be trying to make us related. I was like, where'd you?
I was gonna ask.
No, we're not related. It's right around the corner. Thank you, everybody. You all have a wonderful evening.
You too.
You
Talk to you
too.
soon.
You the
Happy
one.
birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Happy birthday.
Thank you, everybody. I love you.
Love
And
you.